It was a Tuesday night around 11:30 p.m. I remember the time specifically because I had just finished a brutal shift at work and I was starving. My roommate, Sarah, was out of town for the week visiting her parents, so I had the entire apartment to myself. Usually I enjoy the quiet, but that night the silence felt a little heavier than usual. It was raining hard outside, that relentless, heavy rain that drowns out every other sound. I didn't have the energy to cook, so I pulled out my phone and opened a food delivery app. Most places were closed, but I found a 24-hour burger joint about 3 miles away. I placed a simple order, a cheeseburger, fries, and a shake. The app assigned a driver. Let's call him David. His profile picture was just a generic gray silhouette, no photo. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just wanted my food. About 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. David is approaching. I checked the map. The little car icon was turning onto my street. I live in a duplex on the ground floor, and my living room window faces the street directly. I walked over and peeked through the blinds to see if he was pulling in. A beat-up, dark sedan rolled slowly down the street. It didn't have its headlights on, which I thought was dangerous given how hard it was raining. The car slowed to a crawl in front of my house and just stopped. It didn't pull into the driveway, it just sat there in the middle of the road, idling. I waited for the driver to get out. I waited for the interior light to flick on, but nothing happened. The car just sat there in the darkness for 2 full minutes. I started getting that prickly feeling on the back of my neck. I grabbed my phone and messaged the driver through the app. Hey, seeing you outside, you can just leave the food on the porch, thanks. I watched the car through the blinds. I saw the glow of a cell phone screen light up the driver's face for a split second. He was reading the message. A moment later, my phone pinged with a reply. It didn't say, okay, or on my way. The message read, I can't find the house number. Come outside and show me. I frowned. My house number is painted on the mailbox, and the porch light was on. It was impossible to miss. I typed back, the light is on. It's the white house. Please just leave it on the mat. I watched the car again. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out into the rain. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie with the hood pulled up tight. But what made my stomach drop was his hands. He wasn't holding a bag of food. His hands were empty, and they were shoved deep into his pockets. He didn't walk toward the porch steps. Instead, he walked straight onto the lawn, moving toward my living room window, the exact spot where I was standing. I instinctively ducked below the windsill, my heart hammering against my ribs. I held my breath, listening. Squish, squish. I could hear his boots sinking into the wet mud right outside the glass. He was standing inches away from me, separated only by a thin pane of glass and the blinds. Then my phone buzzed again. I know you're in the living room. I froze. I hadn't moved a muscle. The only way he could know that is if he had been watching me before I ducked down. I crawled on my hands and knees into the hallway, away from the window, and locked myself in the bathroom. I dialed 911 immediately. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. As the operator answered, I heard a sound that made my blood run cold. The front doorknob jiggled violently. He wasn't knocking, he was trying to open the door. Clack, clack, clack. Then a heavy thud as he threw his shoulder against the wood. 911, what is your emergency? The operator asked. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be quiet. Is the door locked, ma'am? Yes, it's deadbolted. There was a pause in the noise outside. For 10 terrifying seconds, there was only the sound of the rain. Then my phone buzzed one last time. I didn't want to look, but I did. The message read, "Enjoy your burger." I heard the sound of an engine revving aggressively, tires screeching against the wet pavement, and then fading away. When the police arrived 5 minutes later, the car was gone. They searched the perimeter. There were heavy boot prints in the mud right under my window, and scratches around the keyhole of my front door where someone had tried to force a tool inside. But the scariest part wasn't the attempt itself. When the police contacted the delivery app support to identify the driver, the company told them that the account David had been created just 2 hours prior using a stolen credit card and a burner phone. There was no delivery driver. There never was any food. Whoever that was, they didn't want to deliver a meal. They used the app to find a guaranteed way to get someone to open their door late at night. I don't order food anymore, and I certainly don't look out the window when a car idles outside my house. I just double-check the locks and pray they keep driving.